It's time for the MadDawg Show, coming to you from the heart of the Bulldog Nation.
Never meaning no harm.
The MadDawg Show is proudly sponsored by Griffin Lumber and Hardware, The Sanford Company, ASP Pool Company, Bib Distributing, Butler Automotive, Sellers Construction, Peach Services, Pelicano Construction, The Dog Bone, Go Clean Co., Macon Monogramming, Bulldog Illustrated, and Walthall Oil. And now, here he is, the MadDawg.
We are very fortunate to be with the legendary Loran Smith again. And Loran's lair. This is, I feel like I'm in the inner sanctum. The pictures and the fish you have here are all trophies. The turkey. I'm looking at your walls and seeing Tommy Lasorda. I'm seeing John Wooden, Jack Nicholas, Ted Williams, Bobby Bowden, Red Grange, another Ted Williams, Bob Hope, I think that is.
Yes, that is.
Who is you got right here?
That's Gene Saracen, double eagle.
Double Eagle. Man,
Played 9 holes of golf with Gene Saracen.
Nice.
At Marco Island. That was a great fun experience.
I bet. Did you run with the Bulls in Pamplona?
Yes, but I'm way out front.
Are you in that picture?
No.
Okay.
He was too far.
Tell us about that.
Well, it's interesting. You remember Richard Tardis, the Frenchman?
Yes.
Who played at
Yes.
Well, his family became good friends. And it turned out that I developed a friendship with a guy named Richard Tardis. Had a friend from his hometown of Biarritz. And the French writer was named Denny Lalande.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have a picture of the name of Denny somewhere. I do. But he was the greatest sports writer in France. He was like the Jim Murray of France. And he was expert in golf, tennis, rugby. And he wrote for the French sports daily, L'Equipe.
Mm-hmm.
So every year for the Masters, he'd come over and come by our house here and stay a couple of days. I would make arrangements for all of the faculty members I knew who could speak French.
Yeah.
Come and have a little party, so let him speak a little French while he was
Right.
in the midst of the English colony. So then in the summer for the British Open, I'd go to Biarritz and stay with them. So Richard Tardis had a sister who took me to Pamplona.
Uh-huh.
And I never will forget, we parked the car and walked in, and the Spanish have an affinity for sangria.
Uh-huh.
And they drink like there's nothing left. If they don't drink it all. So this guy literally was passed out in the street, and he used the curb for a pillow. So I went down, and it didn't take me long to realize that she and her 2 girlfriends who were on the trip, they had boyfriends there. So I decided I'd go to the car and sleep a while. But I got there and the window was broken out. So I had to fish out all the glass before I could try to sleep. So I got up the next morning and I went down to where there's a barricade. And Richard laughed at me when it was over and I told him the story. He said, "Oh no, if you run with the Bulls, you got to run along and put a donut ring on a horn."
Oh, wow.
And you tell me about it, that's all I need. So I was out front. But I did run with the Bulls.
Wow.
That's great.
Well, it seems like everything in this room, tells a story, from Glory that you wrote with Louis Broussard that we talked about in the past, to the highest award you can receive from the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame, to Luciano Pavarotti. Tell me you've got a story about him.
Well, I went to see a friend in Vienna, and at the time I was there, the 3 tenors were performing.
Sure.
So he was with Coca-Cola and got tickets. So I went to hear the three tenors at Vienna. Got interviewed. I don't know. Some lady came up with a microphone and she said something, and I said, English? She said, oh yeah, go ahead. So she asked me a question, I answered it. Don't know where it was, what its distribution was, but I did get interviewed for television in Vienna.
That's great.
So life's about experiences. On one of the trips over, I had the greatest fun covering a horse race in the Palio. It's in Siena, Italy, not far from Cortona, where the University of Georgia has a studies abroad program year-round now on property there. It was really great. I didn't know much about it, but I got a press ticket and watched the race. And my wife, Myrna, was out. I became friends instantly with a guy who was changing money. So we had to get, back then, this was before the common market, before euros. So I had to get a lira. That was an Italian currency back in those days. People who've been traveling through the years know about that. So the two of them went into the infield. It was the damnedest thing. It was just massive humanity. It's a big deal. Mm-hmm. And each neighborhood in Siena decorates their horse, trains their horse. They have to ride bareback with jockeys.
Oh, wow.
And if they win the race, it is a big deal for their neighborhood. And but there was no gambling, and nobody was drunk. I can imagine.
It's a fun event.
Very un-American.
Nobody laying down a bed. Nobody passed out except that guy in the street. And that was 2 days before the race.
Well, you hit the nail right on the head when you talked about life is about experiences. You've got just a black belt in writing about those. Obviously, everybody knows what a prolific writer you are. And speaking of horses, you wrote a great article recently about your time with Mr. Pride and the Godolphin Stables up in Kentucky. So tell us a little bit about that.
You know Dan?
We do. Dan's been on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Well, Dan is just a super guy, and his wife too. She's an author, and I think I have best book over here. I do.
Oh yeah, let's plug it.
Yeah, back to Blue Holly. So anybody wants to read a nice novel, Georgia native.
Is it fiction, nonfiction?
Fiction. This is Dan Pride's.
That's impressive. That's a thick book.
So Dan invited us up. I grew up in really pretty austere circumstances in the country, Wrightsville, Johnson County. And we didn't have enough money to afford a minister.
Right.
But we had church Sunday afternoon, and the guy the preacher in town came out and did a little moonlighting, gave a sermon, and got paid a little cash, $20 probably. Right. And I saw this scene happen again and again and again. People would say, as a means of quitting the conversation, going home, come go home with us, not expecting you to accept.
Right.
And it was just perfunctory. So I watched that scene. Don't invite me, I'll come. So Dan called and said, would you like to come up? You can stay here at the farm. So, man, I was happy about that. So Merle and I went up, put us up at the farm, had dinner at his house, and just went through all of his routine.
Right.
Rode the horse farms, and just enjoyed. I love Lexington, I always have.
Mhm.
So I had a great time, and I hope that's the first of many invitations.
Well, we're hoping to take a field trip, everybody in the MadDawg crew, and
Yeah.
go up there, and we hope to see Sovereignty, but I think we got to wait a few years till Sovereignty retires.
That's exactly right. Yeah, sovereignty, they don't want our hands on sovereignty to mess up all of that stud fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want us to tarnish him.
Well, that Kentucky horse thing is something
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see it.
you won't be disappointed in the least. At least that would be my forecast. And Dan's really hospitable, and he, you know the story. That he was coaching and teaching in
Mhm.
Columbia, South Carolina, and just up to that for Kentucky.
It's wild. It's
And
Just got a
blind
desire.
faith.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And he really does a great job. He's a very smooth operator, and everybody knows him up there. That's an unbelievable undertaking they have. They have installations in Dubai, England, Scotland, Ireland,
Mhm.
Japan, Australia, and the U.S. And his operation is the only profitable one. All the others lose money.
Oh, okay.
But I think he has a little advantage being in Kentucky.
He probably has a little bit of a home field advantage there. He does. Well, you're a regular contributor to Georgia Trend, regular contributor to Bulldog Illustrated. Those are just the two that I know off the top of my head. And the recent article that you wrote about the Powell brothers,
Yes.
Zach and Chad. I know Zach better than his brother, but Zach being a hugely successful dentist, we always give him a hard time because dentists are supposed to have small hands to get inside people's mouths, but Zach has hands the size of catcher's mitts. And he always likes to say, big hands, bigger unit. I don't know about that part. I don't know about the second. But tell us about how that all came to be as writing that article on them.
Well, Vance Levy, the publisher of Bulldog Illustrated,
Great friend. Yeah.
gave me that assignment. And I fussed at him a little bit. I said, you giving me assignment to people I don't know, and I don't know their genre, and I don't have any reference. I don't have any material built up in my
Right.
head
Yeah.
after all these years. But it's been great in that I learned about new people and learned something about Georgia guys who are great, Chad and Zach. And I didn't know them.
Yeah.
Now I do, and I feel good about it. In
Yeah.
addition to having fun writing the story.
Yeah, the Powell family, I think that's a multi-generational computer company that's
Yes.
been hugely successful, as you mentioned in your article. Everybody in that family is successful.
Yes, I think it's great.
Yeah, it is. I think it's time that you went out on assignment that you assigned to yourself and write an article on Vance and Cherie.
Hey, well, that'd be good.
That'd be good. There'd be a lot of people like me that could contribute nuggets, if you needed to fill in some space there.
Well, I been writing for Vance for some time, and I enjoy history, enjoy looking back pieces. So I had to just. He found. I don't know where he finds it. I think Cherie must find some of these.
I'm sure she does. I'm sure she does.
But it was fun meeting the Powell brothers and writing about them. And I found out they play golf, so I have an idea of something they might want to get involved with.
I bet.
So, you can't go wrong meeting people because all of a sudden you might see an opportunity indirectly related somewhere.
That's right. That's right.
Because if you're in marketing or sales, every introduction is a potential sale, right?
Always take the meeting. Always take the meeting. That's my motto.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, never not working. That's something, you're one of the hardest working men in the journalism business. And I was going to ask you, you've seen a Georgia-Alabama game or two. and, you know, I would say recent history with Kirby excluded, what would you say would be maybe one of your top Georgia Alabama memories?
Well, Alabama has a big, healthy lead in the series, but been some great games. But there's also been some great games that went the other way.
Sure.
But the game that was most important in the series for any of us at our age, although you're only younger than I am, I'm a geezer. So was winning in Indianapolis.
Right.
That was so critical,
Yeah.
so important. And I just put something together about that.
So another book?
No,
I got the first one.
No. I mean, I've just written something.
Okay.
So I think the game in Indianapolis was a national championship game, so that's the most important game.
Sure.
But the game I remember most probably was the flea flicker.
I was hoping you were going to bring that up. I've got a huge painting on my wall in my studio, which you've got to come to the next time you're making, that has, you know, the whole story with the picture. But tell everybody the story.
Well, it was interesting. I had just gone to work for Georgia for Dan McGill in '64, and this took place in '65 between the edges. And we got out front 10-0, but Alabama came back and went ahead 17-10. And Vince has told the story a time or two, or he did when he was with us. And the coaches in their brainstorming sessions said we had to have something explosive.
Right.
What would we have? What would we run? And they practiced the flea flicker, but it never worked in practice. You've heard that story.
Yeah.
So the things that went a little further with me, I'm an eager young guy in the second year of my marriage, so I had a lot of time. My wife worked, so I had a lot of time to where I could spend time researching.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't like the internet now making the world busier than it ought to be. So I helped Dan McGill host the play-by-play announcer, who was Jim Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys remember Jim Simpson.
I know.
He was a very fine announcer. And Bud Wilkinson was his color announcer.
Right.
So I sort of helped host them.
Mm-hmm.
So I had taken Bud down to the field before the flea flicker play because he was going to interview the winning coach. That was the producer's role he planned for Bud. So Bud and I went on the Georgia sideline, and the flea flicker took place, and Bud and I were standing there, and Vince was huddling with mainly his brother Bill, who was the offensive coordinator, line coach, and they had a short conference, and Vince walked. It was about, I guess 5 yards over to Bud and says, "We're going for 2." Well, Bud was caught up in the excitement of this young coach, 31 years, 32 at the time, year-old coach, and the audacity of the Georgia team. Bud caught up in that excitement. And Vince said, "We're going for 2." Bud said, "We've got to." So he got to interview Vince too. So that turned out to be fortuitous. So I enjoyed that so much. And I remember Jim Simpson was reading this great book by Michener about Israel called The Source. So I read most all of Michener's books. So I enjoyed reading that book, and Jim had left his copy of the book in the hotel room. I think he stayed at the Holiday Inn. So I had to retrieve his book and send it to him. I forgot where he's living, somewhere on the East Coast. But Bud Wilkinson, out of that, became a really good friend. And David, in my files here at home, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I will offer them to the university. But I tape recorded a lot of people over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I just sit down and have long conversations.
Right.
But I had a long conversation with Bud that I tape recorded. And then I had it transcribed. And several years later, I met an Oklahoma guy named Jackie Sanford, who was a great player for them, and he knew Bud. So all those Oklahoma people, they just ate up these, all I had to do was Xerox these transcriptions of my conversations with Bud Wilkinson. So every interview, every meeting, every introduction, has potential to be something you want to keep.
Yeah. So is this the same Bud that Wilkerson that ended up being the coach at Oklahoma?
Yeah, he was the coach at Oklahoma.
That's what I thought, but he was also working for Georgia.
No, Bud played for Bernie Bierman in Minnesota.
Okay.
And then after the war, Jim Tatum and Bud, who learned the split T option under Don Farrow at the Jacksonville Naval Air Station during the war. When the war was over, Oklahoma hired Jim Tatum, who was from North Carolina, and Tatum wanted to come back closer to home. And his dream job was North Carolina. He ultimately got it. Unfortunately, died in his second year. So he took the Maryland job, and Bud took over at Oklahoma as soon as Jim left. And they wound up playing in the Orange Bowl. Great match. Two guys that learned the split T under Don Farrow, the inventor. And you know how he invented the split T?
No.
Well, quarterback in the split T, comes down the line of scrimmage, and if there's a hole at the guard, he hands it off.
Right.
But if not one, maybe at the tackle, he hands it off. But if there's no openings in the line of scrimmage, he takes it to the end. And if the end comes up, he pitches it off to a trailing back. Well, Farrow got the idea of the split T option. He's a basketball coach. Same premise. You bring the ball down court, the defense comes out, you pass it off. If they leave it open, you take it to the basket.
Right.
How about that?
You have an amazing memory. I mean, unbelievable. One of my favorite memories of you is the national championship in LA, which at SoFi Stadium, which I was there due to your help and watched the whole thing with Kent. And then after the game, we went back to the hotel, and just watching you with your arms crossed with the biggest grin I've ever seen, just savoring back-to-backs. And, knowing, all of the Georgia history you've seen. You've seen, obviously, you're front and center for Herschel. How did that feel right after we've just won 2 national championships, basically in 12 months?
Well, it was just so emotionally fulfilling. All Georgia people, I think, have felt through the years we had the potential to be what Kirby has made us become.
Right.
It takes a special person to do that. And, I've made this comparison, even though Archie Manning is one of my very best and closest friends. A lot of Ole Miss people feel the same way. They feel like it could be Johnny Vault. But I don't think they have enough of the pluses they need to do that. Population wise is one thing. Of course, this is a personal opinion, the history of playing Dixie and all of that. They had to get through all that.
Right.
But now Florida certainly is capable. Auburn to some degree, Alabama, no question. But I think Georgia people have a right to think that we can compete with the best, and Kirby has confirmed that.
Yep.
So I just felt so good about him winning back to back, which really made him the best coach in history of the state. Nobody really comes close. Maybe Vince a little, and Coach Butts in his early days,
Right.
he had it going.
Mm-hmm.
And then if World War II hadn't come along,
Who knows?
there's no telling what he might have done. But Coach Butts got a little ill-disciplined himself in his late years. But Kirby has two interests: his family and football. And if you went in to see him and told him you had something that would be really great for him to do, and he got interested, he's going to probably evaluate it based on if I give David 40 hours over a 12-month period. That's maybe 40 hours I got to take away from Georgia or my family.
Right.
So he has only two interests.
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge to keep it going, it was so Saban gave up. It's just too much.
Right.
Saban couldn't have kept going at Alabama, in my opinion, at his age because of the demands now, NIL, transfer portal, and all those things. So I don't think coaches will coach long stretches of time, 25 years even. But they don't have to because they make enough money that they'll be fixed. And their grandchildren will be fixed too. You know, it's that kind of dollar. So, and there's still a lot of unanswered things. But it looks like we're coming around to something that's going to be close to a solution. I hope so.
Me too. Me too. There's got to be. I'm going to mention one more article, and then I'm going to ask you about the game. One thing I just love about your writing, and I know that everybody that knows you does the exact same thing, is when I'm reading your articles, I hear it in your voice as if you're, telling me a story like I'm sitting here right now, and they're just so relatable. It's like I'm having a conversation with you. And recently, I got to give our Auburn friends a little bit of a hard time. They just decided that they were going to come out and claim about 5 or 6 more national championships. And you wrote a great article a couple of years ago about all the different national championships that we could claim,
Yes.
yet choose not to because we're so classy. Talk just a little bit about maybe a couple of years in there where we could seriously lay claim to a national championship and just weren't awarded one by the press.
Well, for a long time, they didn't count the bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
That enabled Alabama in 1964. I think I got it right. 64, they won the national championship. Undefeated during the regular season, I think. And then they went to the Orange Bowl and lost to Texas and Tommy Novich, Joe Namath.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know their history that well, but anyhow, there was that situation. And then the next year, 65, they had a loss to us, that opening game, the flea flicker game of 65, tie with Tennessee. And then they beat Nebraska in the Orange Bowl. And they counted the bowl game that year. So one year, they win the national championship because they didn't count the bowl, which they'd have lost, and they'd have lost the national championship.
Right.
And then the next year, it reverses. They lose a game and a half, tie a game, half a game.
Yeah.
And then luck out by getting voted in by winning the bowl game over a powerhouse team, Nebraska. Now that was an underdog Bear Bryant team that was a fun team.
Right.
And that made everybody realize, including Bob Devaney, the coach at Nebraska, who became a good friend. He realized he was big. He had heft, but he didn't have enough speed. He went out and got into weightlifting, and then went out and did the things he needed to do to find more speed.
Right.
But look how far out Nebraska's fallen today.
I know.
Can't believe it.
I know. crazy. Sucks to be them. All right, so for the future, since you're great friends with Archie Manning, I could see us maybe talking about that before Ole Miss and maybe talking about that before Texas. Right now, we're going to talk about Alabama. What do you think's going to happen?
Well, Alabama's certainly capable. They've recruited at a high level after Nick Saban retired. But they're not as disciplined as Saban teams were, and that has cost them.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be nice if that continues. But I think they'll be ready to play Georgia. But I hope that Kirby, being what I consider the best coach in the country, and I don't see other teams and look at film and all that, so I'm not the qualified opinion that say Nick Saban would be. I think Kirby's got to be the best coach in the country, or certainly as good as there is. Playing at home, I hope that'll be enough.
He's never done that. He's never coached against them as a head coach at Sanford Stadium.
That's right. Kirby's got so many fine qualities, and I just hope he can enjoy it long enough to win another 2 or 3 championships.
How about 4 or 5?
4 or 5.
Sure.
Well, I don't know that he can recruit as well as he has recruited in the past to build up that level of depth that he had,
Right.
winning it back to back.
Right.
I don't think that.
You can do it in the portal era.
That's right. I don't think he can do that.
Yeah.
But I think given equal talent,
Mhm.
good luck with injuries.
Yeah.
I think he's as good as anybody. He'd be the betting favorite.
I like that. I like that a lot. Lauren, thank you so much
Great
for
to be
taking
with you.
time out of your busy day on Alabama week. And I hope to see you at the Tate Center a little later.
All right. I look forward to that. And thanks for spending time with an old geezer who worked barefoot for years and got lucky.
He's not an old geezer. This guy is sharp as a tack.
Yes, he is.
Go Dogs.
Go to
No dogs.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Straightening the curves, flattening the hills. Someday the mountain might get 'em, but the law never will. Making their way the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law will allow. Just a good old boy, they wouldn't change if they could. Fighting the system like a true modern day Robin Hood.